What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Criminal Minds, Season 15, Episode 1, Under the Skin. Everett Lynch is back, the Chameleon. I like the fact that we start off this season with him. Now, will he make it to the all the way to the end of the season? Will this be a guy that we catch in the next episode? I don't know. I will admit, he does seem to be setting up to be kind of the end-all bad guy for this season. I was hoping for the last season we would get maybe somebody tied a little bit more personally to the team, but granted, he could have killed Rossi but decided not to, and now his daughter is either I don't think they're gonna kill off JJ. I just don't. I mean, they've clearly set up this whole thing between her and Spence, which is stupid as hell, but they are still doing that. Like, they had moments in this episode where it's just like she slips and falls and he catches her and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm just like, stupid. Still doing that, and I want to smack over the writers' heads, whoever thought that was stupid or not stupid, smart enough to try. But anyways, I don't think she's gonna be dead, but obviously severely wounded. Probably, I mean, she coughed up blood, so I feel like probably hit a lung. I don't know how she's gonna make it. I don't know if anybody's gonna find her in time, but yeah, I'm sure she'll be fine. But yeah, so clearly they're giving him and Grace a lot of personal connection to where the team are really gonna want to track him down at this point. Whether, again, I'm pretty sure JJ's probably gonna make it, but even so, he's seriously wounded now, or seriously wounded one, and nearly wounded, could have killed another. So there is a very personal connection to him now. So it's a good setup, I think, for the final season. A very intense searching for this man and his daughter now. I will say, I hope we get a little bit more clarification as to how he managed all of this, because it did feel very easy for them to just, he walks in, stabs somebody, shoots two guys, shoots another guy, and then they're out of the building. And I mean, like they said, there's none of the stuff that they were supposed to call in was able to get in and set up roadblocks or anything. So clearly he had something in place to make sure none of that happened. I just want to know what that was, because if it's not explained, then I'm going to be sitting here wondering, how did he manage to do that? So I hope we get some clarification as to what he did, and honestly, to show just how intelligent he is, that he was able to set all of this up to get him and his daughter both out. As far as the case itself for this episode, I like the twist of it being that this doctor did know Lynch, because I really was feeling, they set up for half of it that Rossi was convinced it was Lynch, changing up his MO now, and the rest of the team was like, well, I'm not entirely sure. And the way they set it up, it just made me kind of question, is this going to have anything to do with Lynch at all? Because I don't know, it seemed like they were kind of going back and forth on whether or not it did have anything to do with them. And of course, we started to see the doctor was the one doing it. And so the fact that, Rossi apparently looked into this guy, found out he had a connection to Lynch's mom, and gets the information about what he needed, which is essentially to disguise himself as the lawyer, get his daughter out. I liked how all of that was set up, and I like how it was all ended up being connected, because I think those are kind of the best stories for me, are the ones that seemingly are unconnected, but then you find out at the end, oh wait, no, this goes together the whole time. I remember watching like Psych and Monk. There were several episodes I can remember where I remember the main character, whether it was Sean or whether it was Monk, they're doing their own thing, they're trying to solve their own case, and like the detectives are searching into their own case, and you just think, okay, there's no connection here, like they're just doing two random things that are completely unrelated, and then by the end of the episode you find out, oh wait, no, these actually lined up perfectly, and they're all part of one grander case that nobody could see from the outset. And I don't know, I like that type of setup, so finding out that that's what they did here, yeah, it was good. It was good. It kept me entertained. So, but yeah, I like Rossi in this episode as well. I think they did a really good job of showing he's very clearly still traumatized a bit by what happened with Lynch, but he's not so far gone like what we saw with Luke last season, where essentially once somebody sort of talks to him and says, hey, you need to take a step back, you need to take a breath and realize maybe not everything is about Lynch. I like the fact that he had the self-awareness, to say, maybe I am getting a little too emotionally involved in this one, but still smart enough to see, oh no, but there's more to here than meets the eye. I'm still aware of everything going on. And I don't know, I like that version of Rossi. I like the version of Rossi where he can get emotional, he can get involved, but he's still intelligent. He still knows what he's doing, and he still is one step ahead of the game. However, so far he's still not been one step ahead of Lynch to this point. So I feel like they're doing a good job of getting me excited to see Rossi take on Lynch again and go head to head and see who's going to come out on top this time. But anyways, I think that's about all for this first episode. Like I said, they did again throw in a few scenes with JJ and Spence, and I'm sure this next episode he's going to be all by her bedside the entire time, and he's going to be really worried about her. And I just don't get it. Why is this a thing? This did not need to be a thing. I'm just fingers crossed that they don't do this. But we'll see. So anyways, on to the next episode. See you there. And now episode 2, Awakening. So fingers crossed. Seems like they might be finally putting this whole Spencer and JJ thing to bed. Hoping. I do feel like, though, a lot of the stuff in this episode clearly feels like it was written without the past few seasons in mind. Because honestly, there's been no hint of this whole Spence JJ thing going on. Like, there's not really been any sign of it unless I'm just completely blind. But I've never seen them as anything more than basically kind of a surrogate brother and sister, because neither of them had any siblings, and so it seemed like they connected really well as kind of adopted siblings almost. So yeah, this whole romantic thing out of nowhere, I didn't see any of that in the writing. So either they didn't write them well enough, or they didn't write them in a way that I see as a romantic love, in which case, I mean, maybe a ton of other people saw it, but yeah, no, not me. And if everybody else saw it that way and I didn't, then I'm the weird one, and I'll accept that, because I am typically weird. But also something else that doesn't seem to factor in last season. Going back to the first episode where we met Everett Lynch and Grace, there was I don't know, it seemed to be that Grace wasn't into all of this. Like, they even have a scene where she screamed no when he smashed this one woman that we assumed at the time to be her mother, because they shot it that way. They made us think, oh, this is her mom, and he's trying to con her mom. So she screamed no, and at the time, it's clearly supposed to be like, oh gosh, he is attacking her mother. But then we find out later that it's actually his daughter, and we're like, oh. So that scene was the one that stood out to me, because I'm like, okay, the only way that they can explain this is that she doesn't want him to go around killing people. Like, she doesn't know that he's a killer and that he's really deep down evil. And then we get to this episode. She's just as messed up as he is. Like, she wants to be a part of all this stuff. She wants to be with her dad. She wants to seek his approval and do all of this crazy stuff that includes apparently cutting off one of her past girlfriend's thumbs to use as a thumbprint for herself. So that scene now makes even less sense than it already did, and it was very little sense to begin with. So that was weird. And on top of that, this whole storyline with Grace just feels totally pointless. Like, why go through all of this? The entire last episode was all about apparently Everett throwing the team off the trail with this doctor that he knew. And so they track him down. Meanwhile, Everett is using this time to go break his daughter out of prison. Only for in this episode, after she goes and gets him a ton of money, she then dies. He kills her and cuts off her face. So what was the point? I mean, we don't even get to see the scene. It's just 1 minute she's alive. She's getting the money for her dad using her ex-girlfriend's like disguise basically in her thumbprint. She's doing that, and then the next scene, she's lying dead in the hotel room that they have with her face cut off. We don't... What? What? What sense does that make? You built up this epic storyline with Everett and his daughter Grace out on the run, working together to see off the FBI and to get out. You know, they could part ways. They could do their own thing. But no, now we've just got Everett on the run and Grace is dead. And the storyline now where she just shot JJ and nearly got her killed, done. There's no personal connection now for JJ because Everett just killed his daughter. So now what's her connection to? Well, I mean, his daughter still shot her. Yeah, but it wasn't him. Grace is dead. If you leave Grace alive, now they have to track her down too. Honestly, they could, if they split up at the end of this episode after getting enough money for them both to live comfortably, if they split up, now you have to track both of them down. They could be in different states doing two different things. That's a great story. God, I don't get it. It's like, I don't know. I mean, the team explained it. The team explained that essentially he didn't trust her not to turn on her or turn on him, which I don't really get because he worked all this time to get her out of prison. Why would you do that if you don't trust her? Duh. I don't know. I get the fact that Everett's really messed up. I get that fact. And I understand that messed up people can do messed up things. So, yeah, is it crazy for him to go and kill his daughter? Absolutely. It fits within his character. However, all of her story is now done. And there's so much potential there with a father-daughter killings team. So no. No. Oh, it was just so bad. Like, so bad that they actually did that. Like, I've not lost interest in Everett's story, and him and Rossi's connection's still there, but the fact that they just did that, I don't understand. Do you not like telling interesting stories? Do you not like carrying on these plot lines that could lead to interesting decisions and interesting plot further down the season? You have a whole episode tracking down just Grace, and then you have another one tracking down you could have 2 whole episodes of this, and now you've limited yourself to where it's probably just going to be either the last episode or the last 2 episodes is them tracking down Everett. Yeah, I'm a little pissed. I'm a little pissed that I've had to deal with this BS love triangle basically storyline with Spencer and JJ, and now after getting me hyped up to see the Lynch family essentially taking on the FBI and trying to outrun them and outwit them, now we've just got Everett on his own again, which is, it seems like a much easier prospect at this point, but he's super smart, so surely he'll get away with it again. So a couple things that throughout the episode that just stood out. First of all, the scene where Spence goes and sees JJ at her bedside when she's still essentially out. And yeah, it really showed me just how much a bad story can affect a good scene. Because this scene on its own, watching... Because, I mean, Matthew Gray Gubler, fantastic actor. We know this. We've seen this. And this is a fantastic acting scene for him. I thought he did a great job. However, if this were just Spencer worried about JJ because he doesn't want her out of his life because, again, she's basically his sister, and with his mom, obviously this was before he got the call about his mom, but with his mom not really in his life anymore, she's basically the only family he has. And if that were the meaning of the scene, I would have felt it. I would have been in it. I would have been probably tearing up, getting all watery-eyed because, oh, how heartbreaking. But no, because the whole subtext of it is he loves her. Romantically. And that just, it's uncomfortable. Again, I mean, I know I may be the only one that sees them as a brother and sister, but the fact that I see them that way makes this scene uncomfortable. It goes from being a super sweet and sad scene to being, so frustrated, really frustrated with that. But the good stuff in this episode is the stuff with Spence and his mom. And that's because, I mean, it is actually, I mean, yes, they do talk about JJ, but one, they do bring up the whole plot line of maybe it's time to let her go, even though Seemed like he let her go a long time ago, but sure, writers, he didn't let her go this whole time. We just didn't know. But yeah, I mean, that was a good thing because we did get that moment. But also, just the scenes between him and his mom, typically, they're very sweet and they're very heartbreaking sometimes because you know what she's going through. And this one, yeah, it was kind of one of those things where at first, your first thought is like, oh no, she's going to go back. But then you think about it, it's like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. For somebody who has been so far gone that she's not herself, you can't have conversations with her, she doesn't recognize her own son, to even just have one day where she's completely lucid. Is that the right word? I'm just going to say aware, because I'm not sure lucid is the right term now. I think it is. But she's completely aware of everything. She remembers everything. She remembers Spencer. I mean, that's just such a gift. And I'm glad that they didn't spend too much time on Spence trying to convince, because I was worried that was going to become a huge plot line. It's him like, no, we have to find a way to see if we can fix this, if we can keep you like this. But it was really just that one scene where he kind of had this moment of, no, I don't want to give up on this. You're just giving up. You're just giving up and basically saying, I'm going back. And it was done after that, and he apologized in the next scene we had with them. So, yeah, I'm glad we spent a lot of the time really just him getting to have a normal conversation with his mom, who was all there. And, it was touching because of that. So that was definitely the best part of this episode. Now, granted, it's not necessarily saying much, because the rest of this episode was kind of frustrating in the grand scheme of things. But, I mean, it was well done, and I enjoyed that stuff. Outside of that, I mean, the stuff with Everett and his daughter was interesting up until the very end of the episode, and then they just cut that all short. So I can't really say that I enjoyed it now, because in hindsight, now I know all of that was basically leading to nothing. So what was the point? Very frustrated, very annoyed. God, I didn't expect it to be going out on this note. After last season, I thought I was just going to watch the final season and just be like, okay, yeah, sure. We'll just go in, have some fun, not really think too much about it. Just go in, enjoy it. A little bit of brainless entertainment. But no, they're really making some awful writing decisions right now, and I don't get why. But it's very frustrating, so we'll see. We'll see if the rest of the season gets any better, but on to the final of these 3 episodes. See you there. And now, episode 3, Spectator Slowling? Slowling. I don't really get that. This is actually probably my favorite episode so far, just because the writing was better overall. It's not like the story itself was super engaging, or I was like really invested, as I have been with a lot of Everett Lynch's stuff, but it felt more concise. No real stupid stuff. Well, okay. No, there was some stupid character stuff in this episode. I'll get to that. But for the most part, it was really well done, and I enjoyed it. First of all, I'll talk about the stuff with Matt and his family, because I really expected to get frustrated with how much we were cutting back to him dealing with basically being a father to his kids while his wife rests before giving birth to their 5th one. But actually, it was really, really sweet, and it was nice to get a little bit more depth into Matt's family life, because we really haven't seen a whole lot of it. It's been just kind of bits and pieces here and there, and I feel like those bits and pieces I couldn't really connect to, because they weren't enough to really give me more of a look into who Matt is as a character. But getting to see him as a father, especially having to deal with being the only parent for a day, it was nice, and I liked it. And honestly, there were some really good messages thrown in there as well, talking about, like, first of all, dealing with your kids, basically being fully trusting of everything you say. And yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, because there's a lot of, I think, parents out there right now that are more focused on essentially trying to let their kid be their own person, basically. If that, I don't want to get too political into this, because there is some politics involved in where my thoughts went on it. But yeah, there does need to be some realization that a lot of what you're putting into your kids is going to affect who they become. And there are unfortunately a lot of parents out there right now that I think are more focused on trying to make themselves look good through their kid rather than raising their kid to be a good person. And unfortunately, that doesn't really balance out very well. So a lot of kids aren't being raised with proper uh, parenting, I guess. But yeah, I thought that was a really good message, though, to show just how trusting the kids were, all because he throws some dice with nothing on it, but he sees the numbers even though the kids can't. And I really like the scene too with the one kid just old enough to kind of understand things, because honestly, just a little side story real quick, I remember being about that age, and that was kind of the first time that, I don't remember how I knew, but first time I knew. And if there are any kids watching this for some reason, close your ears right now, okay? First time I realized there was no Santa. I know, shocking. But I just remember there was a moment we were visiting my family up in Ohio, and there was a letter there from an elf saying that they had accidentally delivered it to our address in Georgia where we were living at the time. And I just pulled my mom and dad aside because my brother was 4 years younger than me, so he was still young enough to believe in Santa and all that. I just remember pulling them to the side and being like, "So look, I know Santa's not real, so what actually happened?" And it kind of felt like this as well. Like the kid, he's old enough to realize there's something else, but he saw how much fun his sister was having playing and the fact that she won the game. So, but talking to his dad later, he wanted to confirm that. He wanted to be like, "So you couldn't see the numbers on the dice, right?" Like, it was a very interesting scene, and I love those little touches throughout this episode because it gave Matt more of a character outside of just, oh no, he's just a part of the team. So, but yeah, all that was really good. I also like the chemistry between him and his wife as well. I think they're really well done. I will say, very dangerous to give your wife that bell though, because she she will use it if she needs to. Um, that's just a little joke for the guys. But as far as the case and the unsub in this episode, very interesting. I mean, just the mystery involved. Not really sure why he's picking these targets. I enjoy that mystery. I enjoy you're not really sure what exactly is going on. You just know that he's doing all of this stuff. You know what he's doing, but you're not really sure why. And that finding out why is a lot of the fun that I think people have with Criminal Minds. I will say, so first of all, one really good thing that came out of this, his conversation with whatever her name, Susan, I think, but the lady that he was ultimately trying to kill. The conversation he had with her at the end, kind of poignant, especially me who has to drive through Atlanta a lot. Yeah, a lot of the time people are like, "What's that? Let me slow down and possibly cause another wreck while I look at that wreck." People are kind of stupid like that. They like to see bad things happen because I don't know why. You know, there are times when I am that way, not necessarily on like crashes and stuff like that, but I think there are most humans that when they see something bad happening, it's not like we want something bad to happen, but when it does, we want to watch it. For me, honestly, it's probably watching like sports videos, like guys getting into fights and stuff. And yeah, anytime that I see, in fact, recently I saw, I think it was Inter Miami was playing some like semi-pro team from Georgia in the Open Cup, and I just remember hearing, "Oh, these guys got into a fist fight," and I was like, "What?" And I went and looked up the video to watch it happen and see what happened. So yeah, there is that element I think in all of us that when we see something bad or when we hear about something bad happening, kind of want to watch, kind of want to see how did this happen, and it's like this morbid curiosity, and that's kind of what set this guy off is seeing all these people that are just taking the pictures. And if I'm right, that's from where his mom died, and then I think his dad blew himself up, and he was upset that people were taking pictures. I think that's what that house was, if I'm correct. There were a few points where I got a little lost in what was being said. So, but it was a very poignant speech from him at the end. Also, a good thing that I really liked was how Prentice essentially realized he didn't actually have the trigger in his hand. Because there was a second whenever she was like, oh, go ahead and do it. And then he lunged for the other thing, and JJ shot him. I'm like, wait, what? But then he lets go of the key, and then that's when it hits me. Oh, that was the trigger. And Prentice's explanation, I mean, fits what she sees. You know, she sees that he's not just going to commit suicide, so clearly he doesn't actually have the trigger in his hand. Yeah, it's pretty clever. So there were some good things in it, but the one thing that just really frustrated me, and something that stuck with me to the end of the episode, how stupid that woman was. I can't remember if her name was Susan or something like that, but you know, Kirkland, is that their last name? But the mother and daughter that we see at the beginning of the episode, her mom, she was an idiot. I mean, first of all, some random guy shows up with a present, and yes, most of the time you don't think anything of it, but you've just been dealing with this person. You just heard about this person. Your daughter was attacked by this person who's delivering bombs. And this guy comes up, sits down with a bomb, and says, oh, hey, who are you here for? My daughter and her daughter. Oh, that's nice. What doctor do they have? Dr. Delaney. Oh, yeah, he's really good. See ya. You're just gonna give that information to some random stranger after your daughter and your granddaughter were attacked? Like, stupid. And then even more stupid, after the crisis is averted and we find out, thank goodness he wasn't trying to kill them, because then Luke would have been dead. But she's sitting in the police, waiting room, whatever. She gets a call. Oh yeah, this is Dr. Delaney. I need to have you come sign some papers. Oh, okay, they told me to stay here, but I'll believe you. And then walks out and gets freaking kidnapped. I mean, there's stupid, and then there's this. This is on a whole nother level of just stupidity. And the thing is, I can't even blame her, because, again, it's the writing team that wrote her to make these stupid decisions. And I just don't know who in their right mind would actually make these decisions. Like, who would actually, after some random person delivered a bomb to your daughter's door, would just so willingly give this guy who has a present in his hand, which looks a little too gaudy to actually be a real present? I mean, you just give him the name of the doctor just to be like, oh yeah, here's where my daughter is and her daughter. And then again, just a call from some random guy, oh yeah, this is Dr. Delaney. And you're just, okay, yeah, I believe you. Stupid. So yeah, these first 3 episodes have not exactly set my standards very high for this last season. It does feel like Spencer and JJ is not becoming a thing, which is perfectly fine. I hope this isn't a misdirect where they're like, just kidding, guys, we're not going to do psych at the very end of the season. But we're not spending time on that in this episode. But there's just so many weird writing decisions, and maybe I've just been blind to it, because again, these CBS shows are kind of a guilty pleasure, so I don't really overanalyze and critically think whenever I'm watching the shows. But some of these in these past few episodes have just seemed really blatantly obvious, as far as that was a weird decision for the writing team to take, or that was a really dumb thing for the writing team to do. So it's in these past few episodes, and maybe it'll get better as the season goes on, but yeah, I'm a little worried after these first few episodes that season 15, final season, may not live up to my expectations and my hopes of being in a fun and enjoyable ride as we finish out. But we'll see. I'm still holding out hope that it'll get better by the end of the season, but as for these first 3, that's it for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these first 3 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Criminal Minds reviews, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.